Feeling the love wash over you. I hope so this morning. So, long story short, we have a new little gadget here this morning. That's a mic. Because we're going live on YouTube, and what we were finding is the playback had a lot of interference with the fans, the AC fans, and the projector. So Mike Means, our wonderful tech consultant, got us these little mic extensions. So if you happen to look back at the YouTube recording, just know if for the first part of that song there, I was singing. And then I'm like, oh no, that's all anybody's gonna hear. Shut up. Yes, indeed, a voiceover. Good to see you this morning. So good to be back, and so good to have you back. And I wanted to share this morning some lyrics from a song. I like to do that, if you hadn't noticed. The song it's actually a chant by John Aston, and here are the words. Why have you come to earth? Do you remember? Why have you taken birth? Do you remember? To love, to serve, and to remember. The song was inspired many years ago by Ram Dass. How many are you familiar with Ram Dass? So I'll just give a little overview for those of you who are not. So Ram Dass was working as a professor at Harvard, and he was working with Timothy Leary, and they were doing experiments with psychedelic drugs for the purpose of their therapeutic value. And of course, you can't do testing without trying a little yourself. I am not condoning. So what these guys found out is that they were having spiritual experiences with the use of psychedelics, which, long story short, led Ram Dass to India, where he studied then for a number of years under his teacher guru by the name of Neem Karoli Baba, or Maharaji. And so how this song came to be was that Ram Dass had spent all this wonderful meditation time there in India with his guru, and he realized he was going to need to be returning to the West. And so he asked his teacher, how am I supposed to return to the very materialistic Western world? And so his guru said, it's simple. Just love everyone, serve everyone, and remember God. It's simple. Just like that. Love everyone, serve everyone, and remember God. How's that working for y'all? And as they say in the 12-step programs, simple, but not necessarily easy. So what I want to do this morning is explore a little bit about the different beliefs around our purpose and why we did come to earth, why we have taken birth, and hopefully, ultimately, maybe have a better understanding of our own purpose. So isn't it interesting this morning, we read from a number of texts first thing in the morning, every morning, and one of them is, of course, in miracles. So I was a little blown away, knowing what my talk was about today, to find that the lesson that we were reading was let me remember what my purpose is. I'll read a little bit more of that, actually. If I forget my goal, I can be but confused, unsure of what I am, and thus conflicted in my actions. No one can serve contradicting goals and serve them well, nor can they function without deep distress and great depression. Let us therefore be determined to remember what we want today, that we may unify our thoughts and actions meaningfully and achieve only what God, Spirit, Light, Source, whatever you call it, would have us do this day. So that was reading number one. Reading number two was from Science of Mind magazine. Now, for those of you who may not know, Science of Mind was the original name of Centers for Spiritual Living, and they are our sort of sister movement in New Thought. And so they have this great little magazine. So there's a reading each day. Today's reading starts with a quote. Your purpose is to discover and nurture who you really are, to know and love yourself at the deepest level, and to guide yourself back home when you lose your way. So is there a possibility that this is indeed a divine appointment this morning? Maybe we need to hear something about our purpose. So the talk title is, Why Have We Come to Earth? So exploring the different sort of religious and philosophical understandings and teachings about our purpose, I looked at the two main groups of religion or philosophy. And for those of you who are familiar with those, we have the Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. And just say, I'm keeping it short today, so stated very simply, they understand their purpose to be to create an afterlife, to prepare for what they will have and experience after this experience. And then we have the Dharmic religions or philosophies. So we have Buddhism and Hinduism and Jainism and Sikhism. Simply stated, their purpose is to break free from the cycle of rebirth to achieve liberation or enlightenment. Nothing wrong with either of those intentions or purposes, but you begin to see how expansive everybody who's living on this planet, our beliefs are so different, so very, very different. And then there's a movement that's a little, probably younger than most of the religions and philosophies, and has stemmed a lot from them. And in fact, we like to think, here I am now getting on my little high horse. But this is what we all do, isn't it? What I believe is what is true. Admit it, I'm not the only one. All right, so I just want to share about New Thought, which is really comes from ancient wisdom. So it pulls from a lot, probably every one of these religions and philosophies. But one of the things that we have also done is we've taken out or not aligned with all of the extra stuff that we find sometimes in religions and philosophies about how you can belong, like, judgments, dogma. And, we get pretty judgy about judgment, don't we? It's like, those judgy people. Judge the judges. So this movement, New Thought, Ancient Wisdom, is growing. And if you ask somebody who is, because there's now something, it just keeps taking on a broader understanding. And so we've come to start to call it universal spirituality. And it's an amalgamation of everything that has come before it. We like to think minus the stuff that really isn't in alignment with goodness, with love, with peace, with acceptance, with inclusivity. So important. So I'd like to also just look at if you were to study A Course in Miracles, you would come to an understanding that what it teaches, and I'm going to give you a little background in case you're not familiar with A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles is what some would call a channeled teaching. And the woman, interestingly, the woman who channeled it never actually wanted anything to do with it. She understood it. It had come from her. She had written it. She had tried sometimes not to write it. And the voice kept saying, "This is A Course in Miracles. Please take notes." So she finally gave into it. It was like 7 years later. She's got this, we have this entire, and that was back in the 50s, right? So from A Course in Miracles, and what I didn't mention is that it was very clear to her, the voice said that it was Jesus. So there you go. So it's very full of what sounds like traditional Christian language. So it really takes time and a real student of A Course in Miracles to get beyond, if you have any triggers or judgments about that traditional language, because it's really a metaphysical teaching. That's what we are here. This is a metaphysical teaching. So from A Course in Miracles, we understand our purpose is forgiveness and love and to be happy. In other words, to be free. I mean, how can we be happy unless we feel a sense of freedom from those things that bog us down? And to come to understand and realize that we are not separate, that this world wants us to believe and teaches separation, but we are one. And then another probably 50 years later came A Course of Love. And it is a continuation of A Course in Miracles. A lot less of the traditional Christian language, however, still the voice of Jesus. So A Course of Love tells us our purpose is to awaken from the dream of separation and to live as the love that we truly are, realizing our inherent unity with God and one another. Simple. We're still coming down. It doesn't matter what purpose, from where it came from, we're looking at a practice that is quite challenging in our human experience. not impossible. There are those who are doing it. And I, and many of us here, are choosing to follow that purpose. So I want to do a little exercise with you this morning. That's why you have a notepad under your chair. So grab a notepad and then grab a pen from the chair in front of you. And so we'll go a little bit deeper into our own kind of discovery of who we have come here to be. So I'd like you to start by, Natalie, if you would put the next slide up. And you can kind of work at your own pace with this. But first, take a little bit of time and do this first list. Make a list of at least 5 people that inspire you. People that you admire. They don't have to be currently living. It can be people of the past, people of present day. There's no right or wrong here. It's you searching your heart and from what individuals do I get my inspiration? I admire who they are in the world. A list of 5, and for some people that'll be real easy. They'll get 5 on the paper right away, and then some of us may struggle with 1 or 2. Do the best you can. And I know some of us too, we kind of go right into that more sort of expansive consciousness, and maybe we don't admire anybody. Now come on down to earth. And who is it on earth that inspires you and you admire? 5, a list of 5. And then the next step is to now make a separate list, or beside each name, list at least 3 qualities what are the qualities of these 5 people that you admire so much? The reason that you wrote them down. So there will be a list of 5, and then a list of 3 qualities or qualities of each. And if for some reason you're really struggling with this, that's okay, let it go. What you could do instead is just write each one of the steps, and then you can do it at another time when you are feeling that the things are flowing for you. In our history here at Unity, we've done this exercise a couple of times, but it has been a while, and I know we have some folks who haven't had the opportunity. And for myself, I've done this practice probably dozens of times, so it doesn't get old. So number 3, now look at the qualities behind each individual's name. And look if there are any repeating from person to person. So, for example, I listed the same quality of kindness beside 3 people. So I circled the word kindness 3 times. So we're just identifying those qualities that really stand out, not just in one of these individuals, but maybe in 2 or 3 or all 5. You're so studious. I love the silence. And it's in the silence that the answers come. Finally, you're going to then make a separate list of just those qualities that were repeated more than once on your list of 5 people. And do that on a fresh piece of paper. So flip that piece of paper over, and on a fresh piece of paper right there in the middle of the page, list those repeating qualities. This exercise actually comes from a practice that was inspired through a gentleman by the name of Reverend Dr. Gary Simmons. And he has, if you want to look him up at some point, he has the Q effect, or the quantum effect, and this is part of that process. All right, so we have our repeating qualities on the fresh piece of paper. And now at the top of that paper, write, "This is who I've come here to be." And I don't want to take a whole lot of more time with this, but I would invite you, if there's somebody sitting next to you, and if you don't get an opportunity to do it during the service, take this home, do it with someone that you feel comfortable with. But I invite you to turn to someone next to you and say, "I have come here to be," and list those qualities that you have on your paper. I have come here to be. I have come here to be. And really be aware of how that feels. How does that feel to claim your purpose. I have come here to be. All of these things. Okay, I'm going to bring your attention back here. We're getting ready to close the talk. And so I just want to invite you to one realization that we all have essentially the same purpose in life. And that is to awaken to our greater higher self, to awaken and hopefully realize and live our true nature, our divine nature. One purpose, all of humanity. But what each of us do individually in order to achieve that or realize that is not maybe our purpose, let's use a different word, our life, who we are. So there you go. I'm going to close with a quote from A Course of Love. The way to accomplish what you seek is the replacement of illusion with the truth. And let me just stop here a moment because there's a lot of badgering that word truth. And I want to clarify that we're not talking about earthly truth or facts, okay? Because remember we said, everybody says, what I believe is what is truth. So we're talking about that higher truth of what we are beyond these bodies, before these bodies, now, after these bodies. The way to accomplish what you seek is the replacement of illusion with the truth, the replacement of fear with love, the replacement of your separated self with your real higher self, a higher self that rests in unity. And so it is. Oh. I wasn't doing this for a while, and I got kind of out of practice. Let's do a little meditation. So let's take a deep breath. And the thing about coming and hearing a talk is that we may not agree with everything, or we may feel that a lot of it's out of our reach. And so let's just take a moment to allow that. There is no right or wrong. There is only me, you, us, finding our way on this spiritual path, aligning with our true purpose, and living the life that we came here to live. And so we might say this is a good time to take what you want and leave the rest. We don't have to agree. And in that releasing, there is a peace and a freedom. And that's, we would say, our divine nature. Whenever we are feeling the struggle or challenging what is or resisting, we always have the opportunity to go within to that stillness and that silence where our higher self is calling, reminding us of who we came here to be. empowering us with that greater understanding of all the qualities that we admire in others. There's a reason. And that's because they're also in us. So breathe that in. Take that in. Accept that. Claim that. Appreciate it. Appreciate yourself. Your human self and higher self. They're one. And so as we go out now into this day and into this new week, as we enjoy these moments in the morning and the evenings when there's some cool air, some cool breeze outside, we can begin to reconnect with nature, a place where many of us find it a little bit easier to connect with that part of us that is healed, whole, and well. And so it is.